Hello, everyone. If it's not obvious to you, and it really shouldn't be, I'm a young adult with autism. Autism has been a part of me since I was born, not because my mother ate strawberries, nor because of some weird hypothesis, simply because I was born this way. I truly see my journey starting in elementary school. Every lunch and every recess, I would sit on a bench that was under some stairs. I'd have my lunchbox on my lap, and I would sit there and I'd watch the other kids run around playing the dirt and the gravel, and everything felt so ambiguous to me. I couldn't see the patterns in their play. I didn't understand how they could play with each other. And even from my little tiny mind at the time, I just saw them as hedonistic children who were playing without rules. And the world didn't make sense to me. That little boy who sat under the stairs had autism. The young man standing in front of you today still has autism. But the only difference is that throughout the 18 years of my life, I learned how to self-advocate. And today I'm here to tell you about the power of self-advocacy. That little boy in elementary school didn't understand the kids around him. He didn't really understand himself. When you think of autism, you usually think of someone who can sit quietly in the back of the room. They'll stime, they may not be verbal, and they'll usually avoid eye contact. With people with autism, styming usually involves rocking, flapping their hands, spinning around, and looking all around the place, but anything else but making eye contact. That's one very, very hard thing. I would sit in class, and this was mine. I would sit in the front row, and I'd listen to my teacher, and you'd be filling the board with words and numbers that would then flood my mind with the knowledge that I so desired. I was unlike any other kid in my class. But one day, I found that I could stop. I found a way to self-identify. I found a way to self-advocate. For so much of my life, it was my parents who would advocate for me, because I couldn't walk up to someone and say that I needed the help, that I needed the support to be able to succeed. Because when I got my diagnosis in between grades 6 and 7, the doctors looked my parents in the eyes and said that he probably won't graduate because his social skills are so poor and he excels so much in classes that he aggravates those around him. I couldn't be with my peers, they said. I couldn't graduate. I couldn't succeed. I would be forced to pursue something rather than my dreams and my aspirations. I felt as if I was a disease that was being quarantined. This isn't a way that we can approach students with autism. This isn't a way that we can approach anybody who is seen below others. We are all equal, and this shouldn't be our mindset. In grade 2, I had rules. The class had rules. I saw the rules, I read the rules, I understood the rules, and I took them for rules. Rules aren't meant to be broken. How many of us remember those marble towers that you'd build out of little plastic pieces and you'd go up to the top and you drop a marble and you watch it go all the way down through loop-de-loops and zigzags? Or how many of you remember your kids playing with them? It was a time to be innovative. But the rule in my class was that that tower couldn't be taller than the shortest person in your group. It was already hard for me to have friends, so when I played with this tower, there was one boy in particular who was very short. We couldn't build the tower very tall. There was another boy who sat segregated from us. He started building his tower when he came over and wanted to add it on top of ours. I told him no. The teacher didn't. The teacher was sitting at their desk, just watching the kids be kids, watching them play. When I told him no, he pushed me to the ground, jumped on top of me, and started beating me with the plastic pieces. I went home that day bruised and cut and crying because I didn't understand what I had done wrong, I simply stated the rules. I didn't feel like a kid. I didn't feel like I had a childhood, because wherever I went, there was a kid there who saw me differently. There was an adult there who saw me differently and never gave me the opportunity to be the child I was. They didn't give me the opportunity to be autistic and to pursue what I wanted. And like I said, it wasn't until middle school, after years of being bullied and beaten by other kids, that I got my diagnosis, and I started to self-advocate. I would walk into classes, and I would struggle. There were certain topics that I just couldn't wrap my head around. And I started advocating for the things that I needed to succeed. I started advocating for extra time on quizzes because my sensory processing disorder doesn't allow me to write quickly. I force my hand so hard into the page that it sends pain up my forearm, and I have to take 10 to 20 minutes to regain that strength. I took my life in my own hands when I started to self-advocate. Now, what is advocacy? Webster's dictionary classifies advocacy as supporting a cause or an idea, and it defines an advocate as the one who pleads the cause. With that, self-advocacy is the process of supporting yourself, supporting your cause, supporting what you need to succeed and all of your interests. Self-advocacy is one of the most important things for students with autism, because without it, they rely so much on the people around them to get them to a point where they can succeed. Success is a very hard thing. It's not easy to succeed in anything, really. My parents always told me that no matter what I did, they would be proud of me. But in anything I did, they said that they were going to support me so that I could become the best. No matter what I wanted to do, if I wanted to bag groceries for the rest of my life, they said that they would support me in that so long as I was the best grocery bagger, so long as I always remembered to put bread and eggs on top and put the heavy things at the bottom. I would do anything. How many of us know what we wanted to be when we grew up? How many of us still don't know what we want to be when we grow up? And there's something that we all have in common. When we hit the age of 18, or when we first get that check and we open it, we realize something. Taxes exist. And all that hard work that we just did, a portion of it was taken away from us, and we don't like that. So in that realization, we all immediately think, I don't want to grow up. I still don't really want to grow up, but I'm here at TRU pursuing a Bachelor of Science Degree after I graduated, which doctors said I wouldn't be able to do. In high school, because of my self-advocacy and advocating for others as well, staff noticed something, and they asked me to be a mentor for other autistic students. Once a week, I would go and I'd have lunch with these students, and they would come to me and they would discuss the problems that they're having in classes. Problems in classes like English, where there's so much gray in between the lines, when the pattern that most autistic people see in is black and white. I would help them see those patterns, and I'd help them learn to self-advocate so that they could walk up to their teacher and say, this is what I need from you. This is what I need from you so that I can succeed. Because what you're telling me is valid. What you're telling me I'm going to need to succeed. But how I get that success from you, I need a different approach. Because my mind is wired differently than a lot of people. And I am no less capable than them. I'm standing on a stage in front of you today, making eye contact, when before I could only look at my own feet. Depression was a weight, anxiety was a weight, and they sat on my shoulders, weighing me down and down and down and down until I felt lower than everybody else around me. I couldn't be a kid. It was very, very hard. I felt closer to the adults around me, and I felt closer to myself than anybody else. But when high school came and I got into that mentoring program, I had friends who are supporting me to this, and I love them all dearly because they took me for who I was, and they didn't see me in a different light that so much of the world sees me in. By being a self-advocate, it's not only challenging the barriers put in front of you, but it's making your own as well. Throughout high school, I didn't have a job by choice. I decided to focus on my academics so I could get to a place like TRU. But in the summer between my graduation and coming to TRU, I worked at a summer camp. Every week, I would be the cabin leader to 13 prepubescent boys who didn't know the meaning of deodorant. We shared a cabin in 30-degree weather, and every day when I opened the door, I swear the smell only got worse. But no matter how bad that cabin smelled, I loved every second of my time at the camp. I got to run workshops for the kids. I got to be the kids' best friend. I got to learn all their names, their backgrounds, what their family was like, and at the end of the week, I made an impression on all those kids. And for the rest of the kids at the camp, I learned hundreds of names. I introduced my personality to those people. I told them that I was autistic because it's a part of me, and that's something that I shouldn't hide from people. It makes me who I am today. And to tell me that I couldn't do that is such a misconception of what autism really is. When I walked down the stage at my graduation, I was awarded Citizen of the Year for my efforts. It took over 2 minutes for them to announce my name and all the accomplishments I had made, the scholarships I had won, and the fact that I was nominated for Self-Advocate of the Year at the BC Excellence in Autism Awards. I didn't even know I was nominated until I got the email. I still don't know their name, but somebody anonymously nominated me for this award because they saw me in a different light. They didn't see me as somebody autistic who just flapped their hands and looked at the ground and couldn't talk. They saw me as a person because I advocated for myself as a person, because I am nothing less than a person. No matter what your gender is, no matter what religion you follow, no matter what you are paid, no matter what you've done in the past or in the future, it does not define what you can and cannot do. The only thing that defines what you can and cannot do is your mindset and how you advocate for yourself. Because by advocating for yourself, you also build up the crucial confidence that is required to ignore people who tell you that you can't. When we are very, very little, we can walk up to our parents or our teachers and we can say, one day I want to be a police officer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a farmer. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an astronaut. And they will tell you that you can do anything you want, that if you want to pursue that career, you can. But we get to a point in our lives when people tell us that we can't. And that's where we need the confidence to be our own advocates and not to rely on the crutches around us to carry us through this world. Because you are your own person, you are your own mind. You are a series of neurons, and you control everything you do in your life. We only need a little bit of inspiration. From the day you learn to walk, you had help taking those first few steps. And one of my biggest inspirations is a little girl named Jessica. When I was back in elementary school, and I sat under those stairs on my bench, I couldn't get over the obstacle that was my bench until Jessica walked up to me and invited me to play on the swings. From that day forth, I would always go and sit on the swings. I would enjoy my time with a friend. But one day she stopped coming to school. I didn't understand why, but I knew it wasn't my fault. Jessica was admitted to the BC Children's Hospital with leukemia and a brain tumor. She passed away in November of 2009, and that was the hardest and still one of the hardest things I've gone through. But it's because of her that I want to pursue a career in pediatric neurosurgery, which is far too ambitious for what the doctors assume that I could do. But I am pursuing it nonetheless, and I've started the long, hard road because of my advocacy. The misconception of autism is so widely accepted. Autism isn't a disease. We're not sick. We don't have a particular look. We are just like everybody else. We all travel to the same place, but it's just the fact that we get from point A to point B in a different sense. We have minds that see in pictures. We have minds that see strictly in words. We have minds that see in wonderful patterns and love numbers. But the thing is, we are no different. We just require those first few little steps in order to start our career in self-advocacy. I look back at the boy who sat under the stairs, and I would love to go back in time and talk to him and tell him that those kids, they're playing. You don't necessarily understand why they're playing like that, but you are perfect the way you are. I want to go back and empower that boy. And by advocating and mentoring, I hope to empower other kids who are autistic. I hope to empower adults who are autistic who didn't know about their diagnosis or still don't know about their diagnosis to this day. I wish I had gold stars or t-shirts for you that could say, I know more about autism, or I'm an advocate for somebody with autism. But I can leave you with this. During a week off in my summer of 2017, I went back to my elementary school to visit the epitaph for Jessica. When I walked around the side of the school, my little bench was there. But the stairs that led up to the side of the school were moved away and destroyed. The barrier that was placed above my head from such a young age had been lifted away from my self-advocacy, from my perseverance through this world. The young man you see there isn't the boy who sat under those stairs. The boy who sat under those stairs is gone forever. And the man you see standing in front of you today is a self-advocate who has destroyed every barrier that was put in front of him. And I hope that you can all do the same. Thank you.